All right, we're just gonna start, and then these guys can come in whenever they're done. But this week, we're going to jump into morality and the existence of God. Last week, we went through the scientific reasonings and pretty much came to the conclusion that there's got to be a God, or at least it's just as likely that there's a God that there's not. Which is insane to me. That you can scientifically go through and look at everything, and it's just like, well, you've got to also have a ton of faith in science to believe that. So now we're going to look at it through kind of a different lens, the moral lens. So things like morality and philosophy. And we've got some quotes we'll look at the end by C.S. Lewis in the book Mere Christianity that I have a bunch of. If anybody wants to read it, it's super cool. So C.S. Lewis, he was an intellectual. He was I believe a professor first, or at least very, very, very well educated, like I think Yale, Harvard, like levels of education. And he was an atheist. He didn't know, he refused to believe that there was a God, and then he started looking at it philosophically and logically, and just going through and saying, okay, looking at things like morality, and that actually converted him. So that's what the book's about, is he's, I don't mean to blind you there. That's what the book's about. He's going through that. So I've got a ton of copies of it because it's like $2. So if anybody wants to read it, it's super cool. And I've got like 30 quotes written down in my phone from it, just because he's such a good writer. Because obviously he wrote Narnia.
I was about to say it. Was that I didn't want to sound like a dumb.
No, yeah. He wrote Narnia. Yeah,
okay.
And then a bunch of other books as well.
Narnia is elite.
Yes, him and Tolkien, J.R.R. Tolkien, who wrote Lord of the Rings. Which is also really good. I've never read them, but they're both, they were friends and very, very high-level readers. So it's cool going through that book. He can put into 2 sentences what I couldn't put in 3 paragraphs, just him describing everything. So it's super cool. But has anybody, I guess we'll start off pretty much every week with this question, has anybody thought of anything that they want to know as we start looking at questions about Christianity, behind just theology in general? Has anybody found any questions or thought of anything that they're like, I never knew how this worked, like I always believed, I've always been a Christian, or and like I just never thought about this, or somebody asked me a question about my belief and didn't know how to answer it. Does anybody have anything? We didn't last week, so it's not a big deal, but figured I'd ask again. If anybody thought of anything?
I wish I would have saved the video, but I saw this TikTok of this, what's the guy that's Christian, he's a Christian guy, and he goes to like college campuses.
Cliff Connectley, yeah, Cliff and Stuart Connectley.
He was debating an atheist or something, but it was like a sit down, and they asked him about, the atheist was asking him about what he would have done when God commanded something about the Israelites, pretty much during like war. It was like a war morality type question. It's like, would you listen to God, or would you?
Was it like God commanded the Israelites to kill?
Yeah.
And it was like,
would you let children die? Like, would you kill children if it meant?
I saw that clip too, and I think his answer was like, I don't remember, but
Yeah, I remember.
the Israelites were like oppressed for so long. It was like kind of like them getting their comeuppance or something. But I don't know.
I've seen the video, but it's been so long. But obviously pain and suffering and things like that from the outside in, looking at it, it's like, okay, this seems unjust. It's a little different. Because I think in that specific scenario in the Old Testament, God had basically sent prophets and people saying like, hey, if you guys don't quit sacrificing your children to Molech and Baal, if you don't quit having prostitutes everywhere, if you don't quit doing X, Y, and Z, I'm going to destroy you. You have however many years, I think it was a long time, like 100 years, to get your stuff together, or God's going to destroy the city. And just constantly told them. And these are the worst of the worst people, like horrible child sacrifice, rape, murder, you name it, they did it, kind of thing. And God told them through many different people, it's like, you have to stop doing this, you have to stop doing this is wicked. And then eventually it's like, look, you don't believe, you're going to pay for it. So, and then obviously you look at the children aspect of it, but throughout the Old Testament, I mean, sometimes children pay for the sins of their fathers. I mean, it's not, we shouldn't, as far as eternal, like damnation, stuff like that, like heaven, hell, no, like you're not going to answer for somebody else's sins. But here on earth, absolutely. I mean, it happens all the time. And it happens if, like, say you're the child of an alcoholic. you're the child of a drug addict. I mean, you can inherit traits, you can inherit things like that. So you are suffering for something that's not your fault. It's not your action. So as far as the God thing comes from that, it's like, okay, he killed a bunch of children. But as far as Christianity is concerned, they go to heaven. So while it was obviously for outside looking in, that was rough, that was bad. In context, you're like, okay, he was warned. And this is, I have no clue. I'm just off of what I remember. He told them a ton of times, and then as far as Christianity is concerned, if you're under a certain age, a certain cognitive level, you just go to heaven because you can't understand. You don't have the mental faculties to determine right and wrong and truly grasp Christianity and God and that kind of stuff. So that's kind of a rebuttal for that. He is much smarter and much more well-versed in theology than I am. So he probably gave that answer in a much better way. But yeah, I listen to a lot of Konechli and stuff like that.
I feel like some people that use that argument just don't like that there's consequences for their actions. You know?
A lot of people, and then a lot of people look at it and they're like, oh, what about the children? But then if you take it out of context, it sounds horrible because they die. Children die. But the ultimate goal is not here on earth. It's irrelevant. This earth is irrelevant as far as, well, it's very irrelevant. But is in that context, it's like they're going to go to heaven. So it's not like God killed them, sent them to hell kind of thing for the sins of their parents. And it says that in the Old Testament again. It says you're not going to pay for the sins of your fathers, which means eternally. Here on earth, it could be different. It just depends on what happens. But it's not fun. I mean, it's not like a good, easy subject. There's no good answer for
stuff
it.
like that happens.
Correct.
Just the unfortunate truth.
And you can look at the flip side of it and be like, okay, well, it's just nature any better.
Yeah, that's right, exactly.
Not at all. Not even close. So yeah, I listen to a lot of Konechli. It's cool because he interacts with students and people our age and people a little younger than us that have real life questions. Whereas if you watch on the debate stage, they're gonna debate these giant esoteric belief systems and values and use these giant words and just what are y'all talking about? Mm-hmm. Whereas he's talking to college kids and they put it in a language that we can understand and he puts it in a language we can understand. So I really like them. I want to go to the church. It's in New Haven, Connecticut, which is really close to New York. So I just want to go visit because he's awesome.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Group trip to New Haven, Connecticut.
Might have to. New York / New Haven.
Pizza capital.
So good.
We'll get a field trip in the works. We'll get working on that.
We got direct flights from GSP now on that Breezeway airline.
I'm sure.
It's $50 one way.
Yeah.
That's
direct to New Haven.
That's nuts.
Let's do it. Next week.
Come on.
Little weekend trip.
Let's go.
Well, let's jump in. So, morality and the existence of God. Why talk about morality? So, why is morality important? It's essentially morality is what's right and wrong. Where do they come from? What we're going to talk about today is exploring how morality isn't just a personal or cultural opinion, but it's rooted in something greater, and how we believe it's God himself. So in a world full of conflicting values, understanding the source of morality helps us navigate life with clarity and conviction. So the core argument of today, the moral argument for God's existence, is first, if God does not exist, objective moral values and duties do not exist. Objective meaning 100% this is right, 100% this is wrong, versus subjective, which is it's kind of up to your interpretation. 2, objective moral values and duties do exist. We see that every day. We know when something's right, we know when something's wrong. 3, therefore God exists. So what do you guys think are examples of moral absolutes that nearly anybody agrees on? Just call it. It's not a trick question.
It's not okay to kill people.
Correct. Murder's wrong in almost, I think, not even almost, I would say all societies on every face of the planet from the beginning of time. Murder for no reason is wrong. So there's one. Yeah, theft.
The 10 Commandments.
That's up
to debate.
That's crazy.
Then don't touch
it depends.
kids.
It depends. It depends.
Yeah.
But we're talking large.
But I agree. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Things like rape, theft, murder, all that kind of stuff. That is unequivocally exclusively wrong. We all know it's wrong. We hear of things happening, and we have a guttural, visceral response. We're like, that's wrong. We know deep inside of us, that it is wrong. And I'd say the vast majority of societies that have developed either in the first world countries now or back in the old days when we didn't have cell phones, didn't have email, couldn't talk about our morality with people in China. We all developed about the same level of morality when it comes to things like murder, rape, stuff like that. Where do you guys think that this inner moral compass comes from? I mean, just if you had to, somebody came up on the street and asked you, I mean,
That's just our humanity.
yeah.
Well, it's humanity, but that ultimately, like you said, comes from God. I think so.
Yeah.
I think when you're born, you kind of like if no one were to tell you anything about God, I think internally He just placed that in you to kind of. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah. No, that's the argument that we have today. I mean, we're going to go through both sides and say, okay, well, there's really two arguments against God where morals come from, and neither of them make too much sense as far as I'm concerned. I mean, and I've gone through a lot of research on it, which you can throw your hands up in the air, kind of like science does, and just say, oh, well, we don't know, kind of thing, which is just a non-answer, and I don't like that. So. But yeah, we'll jump in. Any questions about kind of what we're setting up, what we're talking about? Any definitions we need to go over? Perfect. So, nature of morality. So, unlike matter, morals are not material. You can't weigh or measure them. They're immaterial yet real. They communicate, do this, don't do that. Moral values are informational. They're like laws, not atoms. However, their lack of tangibility doesn't undermine their importance nor their existence. So if morals are real but immaterial, what kind of source would they need to come from? The answer is God. So objections and responses to the Christian claim that morals or really most religions' argument that morals comes from their God or their sense of God. Most of the objections are going to be kind of boiled down into these two arguments here. So the first one is morality comes from humans or culture. Like we decided that, or your culture decided that. We've come to the decision that this, and this are wrong, and this, and this are okay. So that's where morals come from. The issue with that is then it's subjective. One person's wrong is another's right.
Like we did.
Correct. If that's true, on what basis was slavery, genocide, or rape ever objectively wrong? If it's based on your interpretation, if cultures decide what's morally okay, everything is permissible because nothing is impermissible or unpermissible, which is just, I mean, if you just sit and think about it, it's insane. That's
How would they
insane.
use Christianity to explain slavery back then?
So a lot of them would take verses and say, so slavery also in the Bible,
It's always
in the Old Testament, much, much, much different than the American slavery.
Right.
Slavery back then was more so akin to indentured servitude. Your family owed, so you worked until you couldn't work anymore. Obviously, it's still slavery, it's still not favorable conditions, but compared to American slavery, compared to slavery we know and we learn about, it's very different. It's more akin to indentured servitude. So what they would do is they would go through and say, okay, slaves, like, obey your masters, which is a verse in the Bible. So in context, that's talking about, like, hey, you're in this time in order to, God's put you here for whatever reason, to better you, to further His will. Like, you're in God's will. You need to do what you're supposed to do under your master so that you can basically further His plan or do what you can. And there's a bunch of different verses that they took out of context, and we're just like, okay, here. It's kind of like we talked about a couple weeks back when we went through verses that said, like, obey your pastors, obey your fathers, things like that. That's taken out of context because people are like, oh, see, you got to listen to the pastor. Like, no matter what I say, you have to listen to me because this verse says so. But then you zoom out and you read the whole passage, and you're like, okay, but also beware of false teachings. And also take everything that he says and compare it to the Bible to make sure it's accurate. So it's one of those things. People just take verses out of context and say, hey, this is what you need to basically focus on when we're trying to debate slavery. But in America, who do you think got rid of slavery? They were the Christians. The Christian abolitionists got rid of slavery. They were not atheists. They were Christian abolitionists, the vast majority of them, that actually got rid of slavery. There were also people that tried to use it for their own benefit, just like anything else. I mean, you look at the Crusades, you look at anything. Christianity has been slapped on so many different atrocities, just like any other label. That doesn't mean that it represents Christianity. That doesn't mean that it's right. It just means that they decided to associate themselves with it for better or worse. And in this case, in slavery, it's much worse. Yeah.
Crusades.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So, jumping back in here, it would also follow for us to have created morality. Someone's morals would have had to have been objectively true, which we all know is impossible because nobody's perfect. Like there would have had to have been somebody that's so morally correct and morally perfect that this guy makes the rules, because we can't do it. Nobody has lived a perfect life outside of Jesus. No just man, just human being has ever lived a perfect life. So there's no way that we could come up and create a perfect objective morality in the world at some point in the way distant past and it be passed on. It's just impossible.
Power corrupts.
Correct.
So like, yeah.
So, and then you also look out the whole, okay, everybody has their own morality. This moral relativism, which is actually gaining traction today, which is stupid. I don't understand, because people can't live it out. Like, you go to a moral relativist, and they're standing in line, and you cut in front of them, they're going to be like, hey, man, you just got in front of me. It's like, oh, well, that's not wrong. My morals say that it's right. My morals say it doesn't matter. Or go take something of theirs. And they're going to have a lot to say. They're not going to be so morally relative whenever it impacts them. So it's just impossible to live out. I mean, you even look at Friedrich Nietzsche, one of the most famous existentialists, which existentialism is basically this argument. It's like everything's subjective, everything is just up to your own interpretation, that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a very oversimplification of it, but that's essentially his stance on the whole morality thing. So even he, who was one of the most famous, couldn't deal with this reality. So he had he had severe mental collapse in Turin, Italy, which is where he was from, when he was 43, and he never recovered from it. So it's said, we don't know. This is what most people say. It can't be proven, but this is what, tons of sources say. But they said that he witnessed a horse getting beat, unfair, just absolutely tortured, and he sprinted over to it and wrapped his arms around it and started weeping uncontrollably, and just was never the same, because he just realized it's I see something that's wrong and I know that it's wrong.
It's not subjective.
Have you ever
Correct.
read Crimes and Punishment?
Mm-mm.
I think that was something in it too.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Because it's just impossible to live out. I think he lived his life.
He couldn't explain why that was making sense.
Well, he felt that was wrong, and he
Right.
couldn't lie to himself, and he'd been lying to himself for years and years and years that no, everything's relative.
He was the
No,
first
morals are relative. He wasn't the first, but he popularized it. He
Tried to
wrote
be.
a ton of books. Books, I think one of them's titled God is Dead or something like that. So, yeah, if the most famous guy couldn't even live it out, we're not going to be able to. So, moral relativism is just insane. That's the death of society. No laws would matter. Nothing would matter, because my morals are subjective. My morals are different from yours. I can do whatever I want. Who's to tell me that murder's wrong? No one, because I live my
I
own
feel like
reality.
that's how a lot of people think these days, though. Everyone.
They can't live it, though. They say it,
Uh-huh.
and they can't live it. It's impossible to live out. Impossible. Because I would be able to just come and jump you and say, no, that's perfectly fine. You can't go to the cops because this is my morality. It's insane. That's the weakest argument for, I think, on this side of things, against a God. It's just everything's relative, because it's impossible to live out. So the next one, which is a little more tricky, a lot of people like to just get into the weeds about it, but we're going to kind of simplify it, is morality evolved to help us survive. We essentially developed morals as a species to procreate, to prolong the species, so we could get to this point. We already went through last week how all the evolutionary theory and all that kind of stuff is already in incredibly unlikely territory as far as statistics are concerned, but just giving it that. Our innate, so what it says is essentially our innate longing for justice and truth is apparently just an illusion to keep the species from dying out. There's no true right or wrong, just things that develop as a means to optimize reproduction. Morality would again become a farce irrelevant when not concerned with population numbers. So this actually loops back around to the first argument, because it's just saying that there's still no true objective right and wrong. It's just what's best for the species kind of thing. So if you're not looking at just reproductive numbers, if you're in India where the population's just going through the roof, then who cares? Who cares? There's no morality kind of thing. Does that make sense? How it kind of circles back to the original point.
Yeah.
This would also mean that we could have evolved differently, and that those morals still would have been just as correct as the morals that we've developed today. So we see different morality across all animals. I mean, you look at octopus, they kill their mates. Dolphins rape each other. Spiders eat their young. What we're saying is that they developed different senses of morality. We'd say lack of morality because we don't think they're smart enough, but they live differently. They have somehow found ways that murder and rape and just more murder is beneficial to the species, and they have developed this far, so apparently that was good for them, so that's perfectly fine. So we're saying that our morality is better than theirs just because we evolved differently, which just does not make sense. Y'all follow that?
Mm-hmm.
How just insane that is, that we could have evolved to the point where just we eat our young because we're hungry kind of thing.
Well, like, animals live in, like, the animal world, so, like, they have to kill to survive. Like, that's, like...
So from this argument,
Well, I feel like
we
they don't
also
have
live
one.
in the animal world. Like,
yeah,
we
but,
are,
like, we're above animals. Like,
says who?
How?
Who says you're above animals? We're not. We just have innate intellect.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think we have something in us that...
Yeah. But I'm saying
Makes
from
us
this
above
argument, no, we don't.
animals. Yeah.
There is
I
nothing
guess.
in us.
Oh, I see.
We have just
Yeah.
developed intelligence.
Yeah.
Which, if you want to look at it, I mean, we can go back to dinosaurs who cognitively were nowhere near as smart as us. And if we look at it evolutionarily, they were alive for, I don't know, 150 million years before they all died out. And dinosaurs were dumb. Dinosaurs were not smart. Not at all. They had teeny tiny brains.
You knew a dinosaur.
Dude, no, I'm like that.
Dinosaurs aren't even real.
I was there. I was there.
Let's go on that, Kevin. Let's go deeper into that.
Let's go on the anti-dinosaur.
They've
movement.
never
not
found
real.
real.
Big dinosaurs fooling them.
They're not real.
All the bones you've seen have been plastic.
But so you just go back to the intelligence thing, and it's like, okay, well, they survived for that long, and we're only on however long that science says that humans have been around for 20 million years or 50 million years. It's less than dinosaurs. So who's to say that intellect makes us better than anybody else? I mean, we could go extinct as far as science is concerned in another million years, and then we were only alive for a quarter of the length that dinosaurs were, and they were stupid comparatively. So intellect does not give us more value than anything else as far as atheists are concerned, because we're just animals. We just evolved differently. We have different moral values. But yeah, that makes sense. That's right. And then another couple points on that. So even this argument, it's similar to the Big Bang argument, the Big Bang theory. The evolutionary argument for morality tells us how morality developed, not how it started in the first place. So the Big Bang is what scientists theorize is how we got here. They don't say how the Big Bang started. They don't know. They're just guessing. So it's the same thing. They don't know where morals came from. They don't know why they know they can theorize why they developed, even if you want to go down that path of, hey, it's for the better of society, the betterment of the species. That doesn't tell us how we got them in the first place. That doesn't say who instilled them or what gave us that idea in the very beginning. Just like the Big Bang, where they have to say, okay, there was stuff there before everything was made, nothing and nothing collided, and then gave us the Big Bang. It's the same thing with morals. They're just saying, oh, well, they were just always there. It's just like, that's not scientific. You can't prove that in any way, shape, or form. So it just kind of goes to that circular argument with the beginning of time from a science perspective. And then we go through and look again at evolution. Evolution explains behavior, not moral obligation. Again, it shows us why we do things, or it shows us how we have done things, not necessarily why we have developed different feelings, different emotions, different morals, essentially. So it can't tell us why we should do good, only why we do certain things. So science is great at telling us what is, but not what should be. If morality was developed as a purely evolutionary process, we would never have people feeling the innate drive to sacrifice themselves for those who society deems as lesser. Because if morals are just for the betterment of the species, if this dude over here is brain dead and the firefighter's going to run into the building to go save him, it's like, no. If this is for the betterment of the species, this guy is worth less as far as the species is concerned. Why would you waste your life, a 25-year-old male with a wife and kids, to go save this guy? It's because morals and inner feelings of what we should do right and wrong are not just to preserve the species. Because if it were, we weigh a lot more things before we actually do them. Morality, you don't have to weigh the pros and cons of helping somebody. Anytime you do it, you just feel like, oh, okay, this old lady just dropped a bunch of stuff, I'm gonna go help her. Versus like, no, I should think about myself. I'm busy. I've got things to do. I need to get to work. All that kind of stuff. Like we don't weigh that. At least we feel that urge. Whether we act on it or not, it's different.
It's like you know what you should.
Correct.
Even if you don't.
In
like,
most situations, like even if you want to lie to yourself, like you still kind of know
right, exactly,
like what you should do.
Yeah.
And then there's obviously some gray areas where it's like neither seems good or bad kind of thing. But most of the time, if there's a decision that would involve morality at all, the answer from what we should do is obvious because it's innate with all of us. Does that make sense? Any questions on that?
It's your turn this week, not to.
So we'll kind of wrap up a little bit here, and then we'll go over a couple quotes that I found cool, just going through all this stuff. But the consequences of a godless morality. So if there is no God, that means there's no ultimate justice. There's no punishment for evil at all ever. There's also no reward for good. There's no reason to hold on to your morals in the short term, because in the long term, evil wins. What kind of hope or justice would we have in a world where evil goes unpunished forever? I mean, what's the benefit of doing anything that doesn't immediately benefit me if, in the end, nothing matters as far as morality goes? Like, why make the right decision when the right decision doesn't help me as a person?
I just thought of a question too.
Yeah.
So like that's an argument I feel like people have is like nothing like, or no, sorry, they use Christianity as a way to like control people because what would you say to that, I guess? Like
so
for people that say like the only reason is because we can have a society is because like they use Christianity so we don't just all kill each other and like do whatever.
That you can use any belief system, including Christianity, and Christianity has been used for power, for control, for X, Y, and Z.
Mm-hmm.
What we're saying here is that we're not even talking about the application of Christianity or God. We're discovering at this point, is it a viable option? Is this more likely to happen than not? We'll get into the application in the weeks.
That was like a question I should ask.
For sure.
I just thought of it reading these.
Because I don't want to sit here and answer that with not even imperfect, but just not when I don't have time to think about it. I don't have
No, I know. That's a big one.
resources. Yeah, no, absolutely. It's the control thing is because it's been used. I mean, it's been used by the Catholic Church. They used to sell people indulgences. They still do, just a little differently. But yeah, they used to sell basically getting people into heaven. It's like, oh, you can lessen their time in purgatory here. Just pay the church $50, and your grandma who just died won't have to wait in purgatory as long. Just give me $50, kind of thing. So
I mean, I think like the moralities in the Bible are like timeless and like that's literally the word of God. So like I'm on your side. I'm just saying like
no, for sure. No. Playing devil's advocate and then also answering questions that people are going to ask and questions you should know the answer to.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, you also just look at the alternative there. It's just like, okay, we don't have in specific Christianity, or we just don't have any religion at all. I mean, this is what we default to.
Yeah.
We default to there is no right and wrong, or we default to that morality is subjective, and that there is a right and wrong, but it's just up to you to determine. And where's society then?
Yeah.
So, and then we just look at all the evidence behind God. We look at the evidence behind Christianity. We look at what he's.
I feel like you can see as we
Give it
get
a
away
shot.
from God, like society's kind of already getting like worse
Yeah.
as we follow God less.
Yeah.
So it's
That's like super hard as far as if you want to go down like a proof/evidence route. That's a little harder to say this is an evidence for God is that society's getting worse, because in a lot of ways it's getting better.
Yeah.
I mean, life
know.
expectancy, all that kind of stuff. Like there's many avenues where the world is getting better. It's also getting worse in a bunch of ways, and that is if you're not a Christian, then it's subjective. It's
I
like
feel
what
like
do you
every
mean?
group of older people always is like society
No,
sucks,
for
you know?
sure. That's
Like
yeah.
your grandparents are like, man, society sucks, and then your parents are like, kind of like whatever, and then they're like, society sucks.
Yeah.
And then now as we get older, we kind of look at younger kids and we're like, man, these kids kind of suck.
Yeah.
I mean, we have shit like Epstein and Diddy and like.
Yeah, but
It's
they had all that
not
stuff
doing
back
it.
then.
They had
too.
all that stuff way back then.
Yeah, bro. It was worse.
If not
Wasn't
worse.
possible.
Ever heard of Genghis Khan? You wanna know what he did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're probably related to him, statistically.
They didn't have Jesus either.
They did not. But yeah, so that question is more about just the proof behind specifically the Christian God, because then you look at say, okay, how do we know that it's not just used to take advantage of us,
Right.
kind of thing. And then that also dives into the topic of just like, again, what's the alternative? But that's not evidence or proof for God, but that's something that they need to weigh.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, we would not be here without Christianity as far as society is concerned.
Yeah.
Just outside of whether it's true or not.
Mm-hmm.
Just looking at all of the contributions to the world, to science, to medicine, to everything that Christianity has given. I mean, if we didn't do it, just the church itself.
Yeah.
I mean, the church pioneered most scientific technology in the, I mean,
And like you said, with
Middle
slavery
Ages or
and stuff, like they're the ones like
Yeah.
who put that effort
Correct.
in the Western world to
Yeah.
and stuff.
It's like Galileo,
So.
like, determined that the world was round.
Mhm.
So, yeah, a lot of stuff like that. Sorry, Kevin. I know it burst your bubble there.
No, who like that?
But yeah, so we'll wrap up here shortly. So what we've kind of talked on today is that morality is real. We all experience it every day. It's objective, meaning that we all know when something's right. We all know when something's wrong. We know when we do something you feel bad after, or you don't even necessarily feel bad. You just know. It's like, oh, I should have done something different. And then morality is also meaningful. So it just can't come from random matter evolution alone. It points to a righteous, personal, and moral God is what morality does. So one quote I'll leave you guys with, including I'll go pull up the C.S. Lewis quotes as well, but this was super cool that I found by Gavin Ortland in my research. But however difficult faith in God may be when faced with the terrible reality of suffering in this world, its only alternative is an unlivable despair.
Yeah.
So that kind of sums up what we've talked about today. I mean, if morals are relative, then there is no hope. There is nothing to live for. There is no ultimate justice. I mean, we might as well go do whatever our impulses tell us to do, because no one's going to pay for anything in the end. If we all die, who cares? Who cares when? Who cares what we do when we get there or until we get there? We should just have as much fun and live for the now as much as possible. So that's what Gavin Ortland was saying. But I'll pull up a couple C.S. Lewis quotes because I thought they were cool.
Right.
It's okay. I just typed in messages. We're good. I just slowed down and typed in.
That's a lesson morality this
Rob.
week. He broke out of his cage today and wrecked my room.
All right. So these are just some quotes from C.S. Lewis from Mere Christianity, which is a super good book. It's super short. It's like 180 pages, 200 pages, something like that. It's incredibly short. But he wrote this back in like the 40s or 50s, and they've printed 1 billion copies, so they're cheap now. But it's very, very insightful. So the moment that you say one set of moral ideas can be better than another, you are in fact measuring them both by a standard, saying that one of them conforms to that standard more nearly than the other. basically saying like my standards are better than yours, my morals are better than yours. So we start comparing them across parts of the world where we go stumble upon them and they're throwing children into active volcanoes in sacrifice to God. We're like, hey, that's not okay. But without God, who's to say that? That's what C.S. Lewis is saying. Then another quote is, if we ask, why ought I to be unselfish? He wrote as like an old English guy, because he was. And you reply, because it is good for society. We may then ask, why should I care what's good for society, except when it happens to pay me personally? And then you will have to say, because you ought to be unselfish, which simply brings us back to where we started. So it's just going through the selfish nature. It's just it's a loop. Another one is, you find out more. This is I mentioned this quote last week, but it's cool because I found it again. But you find out more about God from the moral law than from the universe in general. Just as you find out more about a man by listening to his conversation than by looking at a house he has built. So you find out the morals behind somebody. You talk to somebody, or you listen to a conversation that they're having. You can learn a lot more about a person than just by looking at what they've done, looking at their concrete slab they just poured. You might learn a bunch about you by that.
I'm gonna learn a lot.
But you'll learn much more if you hear me talk about the slab
That's true.
with the client. So another one is cool. This one's kind of goes to what Kevin said. If a good God made the world, why has it gone wrong? My argument against God was that the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. This is C.S. Lewis saying, this is what was his original argument. That the universe seemed so cruel and unjust. But how had I got this idea of just and unjust? A man does not call a line crooked unless he has some idea of a straight line. If the whole show was bad and senseless from A to Z, why did I, who was supposed to be a part of the show, find myself in such violent reaction against it?
Send me that one.
Which is just nuts.
Where'd you
Like,
put
that's
it?
insane.
You
Yeah,
got-
I texted
that's
him
in
to
the
Isaac,
notes?
but I can add him to the notes.
I had that last
Yeah.
one.
It's just, who's to say? Like, because a lot of people are like, oh, well, if I was God, I'd have done this, this, and this. And it's just like, who are you to tell him, the creation, to tell the creator that how to do his job or what you can do? Who do you think gave you that idea of morality? You don't think that he aligns with it perfectly? Because in Christianity, I mean, we don't believe that God determines right and good. We believe that he is just good. And if you are in opposition to him, it is bad. And if you are in his will, it's good. It's not that he just decides and can change his mind. It's his state of being is good. So it's I think that's a super cool quote there. Did I read it correctly? That makes sense?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, if we have no idea what a straight line is,
Yeah, I like that.
then how do we know what a crooked line is? So I think that's cool. And then let's see, I'll pull one more. There's a bunch of them in here, but I'll put them in the notes in case y'all want to read them. But let's see. Yeah, so this goes back again to the whole evil thing, but free will is what has made evil possible. Why then did God give us free will? Because free will, though it makes evil possible, is also the only thing that makes possible any love or goodness or joy worth having. So if he just made us robots, if you just want to go down the predestination train of thought where none of us have free will, everything's predetermined, all of our actions, we're like robots. That doesn't make sense, because if he requires our love, if he wants our love, if he truly cares about that, if he cares about us enough to come and die on the cross and to make the infinite finite, to take his all-knowing power and then make himself a man and then live as us, which was already comparatively suffering just compared to what he's used to, which is being omnipotent and having anything that he could possibly ever need and want for nothing. To come live on earth amongst us, to suffer, to be hungry, to step on sharp objects, to just live day in and day out. And not only that, but then to take on the sins of the entire world. Why would he do that and then require or want our love from us if everything's predetermined, if we don't have free will, if we're all just robots and you're either going to love him or you're not, because then it's meaningless. It's like, I don't want my future wife to have to love me. Like, I want it to be a choice. I mean, It might be nice for a short amount of time. It's like, oh no, you have to be nice. You have to do everything that I say. You have to do X, Y, and Z. But then you come to realize it's like, oh, this is worthless. This is meaningless because it's just essentially a robot. But yeah.
And I think even going back to like what Gustavo brought up in the beginning was like there has to be bad for there to be good. So it's like, yeah, I don't know. That's just what I thought. So,
No, you're right. I mean, it's the existence of good means that there is an existence of bad. I mean, it can't all be good. It's in the beginning of the creation story. I mean, Genesis. They eat of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. I mean, it's they were able to at that point sin, which just opens the door for everything that we have today. So we will have we will have good, but we will ultimately have bad. And then if you're a Christian, I mean, we don't have to worry about it in the long term because we believe that ultimately the evil will be punished and will be in heaven one day. So, yeah. Any questions on morality or any kind of philosophy, that kind of stuff, as far as it comes to pointing towards or giving evidence for God?
Here's my thought. I've been thinking about it for a couple minutes. It's hard to word, but I don't, at least in the argument of evolution and evolving your own morality, I don't know exactly how much I believe that animals even have a morality.
that's
to
what
begin
I was
with.
trying to say like earlier.
Because it's all instinctual law. Like there are no, for us, morality, there are objective right and wrongs, but there's still a sliding scale. Like you're gonna tell a white lie here and there. You're not gonna kill somebody. There's still a sliding scale. Technically, they're both wrong. But this one, there's a sliding scale. I don't believe animals operate on the law of like prey mantises biting their mate's heads off. They go, yeah, I'm gonna do that one every single time, but like I don't think they pick and choose which ones are worse. I think they all follow an instinctual set of rules. So I
I feel
don't
like that's
believe
what-
that they evolved morality at all. I believe morality comes from us being made in God's image alone, because humans were the only ones made in His image. So I think that throws the evolution thing out of the way as well.
Yeah, it tracks it.
There's
'cause
no other species with
a sliding scale.
a sliding scale of morality, or just morality in general.
Or just the option to act against their instincts
Exactly.
as a
Yeah.
whole.
That's what I'm
We're not
saying.
obviously there will be individuals out of a species that operate contrary to the species' instincts, but all humans operate at some point in their lives contrary to our developed sense of
Well,
morality.
everyone is different. Everyone has a different sense. You can't be. There are still rights and wrongs, but some people think lying is the worst. People think stealing is the worst.
Yeah.
People operate differently.
That
Animals
that
don't.
point of view really just comes from the people that just lean into the fact it's like, no, we're animals, like we're just like them. We're just smarter, so there's more nuance to our decisions. That's really where that comes from. It doesn't hold much water, but that's
Just
where it
because
comes
I don't
from.
think you don't see them weighing the decisions of right and wrong. Usually, it's instinctual. So that's I think it's a bad argument for their side as well.
These are the best ones they have, right?
And I think it's all instincts.
Yeah.
Animal law kind of contradicts itself if they did have morality in terms of evolution's sake.
I mean, the more you look into it, the more that it devolves.
Yeah.
And then, unless you want to just throw your hands up in the air, which you can do that about anything and not be proven wrong or right one way or the other. If you want to just be incredibly vague, I mean, you can do that. But I like searching for truth. So I like having more obvious and more evidence to point at than just saying, I don't know. It just can't be a God. That's all I know. It's like that's not a good argument.
Just be like, yeah, bro, you're going to hell. I don't know what you're saying.
They would say it doesn't exist, and they're not worried about it. So yeah. So we'll wrap up. Does anybody have any prayer requests, anything like that? Good, bad.
I passed my exam on Friday
There
because
we
I'm
go.
clueless. I don't know.
You got it, dude. You got it.
Are you prepared?
No. Not
He's been
really.
studying like a week. Kevin, how long you studying? Like a month? 2 months?
Yeah, like almost 2 months.
Like,
What, for it to be what, a license?
just-
I could have took it in 3 weeks.
I'm
But what about
literally
one
sitting on
month?
ChatGPT.
Yeah,
and
no,
like
one
that.
month.
It's
How
like
are you taking the test?
on a computer.
Oh,
But it's uber monitored, dude.
Yeah.
Like if I
You
even
go to
open
a
my
place.
mouth,
Oh,
or
like Proctor
like you
U or
can't
whatever?
even read the like thing out loud.
Oh, yeah.
You're
when I took the
Show me
teacher, what's it called?
Teach them your key.
The one you take to be a teacher. I
The
think
base?
is what, no.
That's so easy.
The
The
fitness
test you have to take to get certified to
Just
teach.
phone in the pocket. It's probably
What's the name of it, bro?
The ASVAB.
No, dude.
I need your eyes on the side.
They probably want you to
pass
cheat.
now.
Yeah.
Power comes on.
I forget the name of it. But same thing. Like you move a mouth, or you like wait too long on a question, and
Yeah.
is everything okay?
everything
And they like control your computer.
Yeah, it's
But anyways, well, so don't prayer request anything like that. Cool. Other than that, we'll do that. All right, we'll pray and then we can chat some more. But dear Lord, thank you so much that we were able to gather here tonight. Thank you for instilling in all these people the want to grow closer to you, to learn more about you, and to be able to answer the questions that we're faced with daily about you and about our faith, Lord. I pray that you would be with us as we go about our days here in the next week or so, Lord. I pray that you would just be with us and help us make the right decisions and to reflect on you and reflect your goodness as well as possible, Lord. I pray for Daniel as he takes his licensing exam on Friday. I pray that everything goes well. I pray that he passes, Lord, so he can start doing his job to the best of his ability. Lord, again, thank you that everybody's able to get here safely. I pray that you would give everybody a safe drive home. In your heavenly name I pray. Amen.
Right,
That's correct.